Hey everybody, this is going to be a different video. Normally I do videos related to directly uh, prophecy and biblical prophecy, but I've come across some interesting studies lately in my studies related to prophecy that outside literature is also tied to biblical prophecy, and it's not just about the Bible, but pretty much prophecy can be found in many uh, historical sources and religious sources. And I've learned that since I've been studying prophecy, that these things are all directly connected, and it's not a simple uh, one religion is right thing. And I've learned that based off studying these particular events, that what if instead of this being a religion of the day, it has been skewed, I guess you could say. What if back in the day, these things that were translated this particular way were actually trying to tell you something related to nature, the stars, astrology, and so today's video is going to be related to uh, some brothers who actually did this kind of research and actually created fairy tales based off of it. So my introduction is for what's known as the Brothers Grimm's complete fairy tales, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. Now, these are very famous people, known for the creation of stories such as Cinderella, Snow White, and Rumpelstiltskin, Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel. Now, let me read you just a little, and the Frog Prince. So, I'm going to read you a little bit about them from the internet, and it says the brothers Grimm, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, were German academics, philologists. Now, a philologist, just so you know, there is a definition for this. It is called the study of language in oral and written historical sources. It is the intersection between literary criticism, history, and linguistics. Philology is more commonly defined as the study of literary text, as well as oral and written records, the establishment of their authenticity, and, get this, their original form. Interesting, right? Kind of like an etymology study. Hmm. They are also cultural researchers and lexicographers. Lexicographers. One of the types of lexicographer is the art or craft of compiling, writing, and editing dictionaries. Hmm. Put these types of careers together. That's a fairly interesting set of abilities, just to put it bluntly. Uh, and it pretty much deals directly with what I'm talking about. And whenever they were writing these tales, people took them to be what is now known as fairy tales. Now, here's the thing about fairy tales and mythological stories. Just because they come off as being fake, unrealistic, cartoonish even, does not mean they are not based off reality. And this is why I find these two authors of this entire book fascinating, because they dive into prophecy in a way that no one even realized during their times. They did not take these fairy tales as something biblical. They took them as their own little stories that were made up. But the thing is, they didn't make these things up from scratch. Every single name in their fairy tale, every single idea, every single number that is used within their stories has a significant meaning. Not only that, but a lot of them have biblical meaning. Something many people don't realize about these two authors was they were dedicated Calvinists. So they were very biblically oriented. Now, somebody might say, how is Hansel and Gretel and the Rumpelstiltskin biblically oriented? Well, one of the things that I'm going to be making more than one video on these people, actually going through the tales and reading them and comparing them to actual prophecies. And you'll see that there's something that when you hear it, you're going to be like, I've heard something like that before. And the thing is, you have heard something like that before, because they're taking it directly from other sources, whether it have been a source from Greek literature or Hebrew literature or German literature. All these different things they're taking straight from the original sources and just using etymological names that say the same thing. For example, Rumpelstiltskin might have a hidden meaning inside the name, is basically what I'm saying. Or Cinderella might have a hidden meaning in why they chose to use that particular name. What happens if you define the name Cinderella, or the German version of what it was originally called? What happens when you look up their original definitions and the original language? It makes for an interesting project. And this is my goal in what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be dicing up these stories. And I think it's going to be an interesting project. I'm going to be reading several stories that you probably haven't even read yourself nowadays. I mean, there's a lot of unfamiliar stories that they have in here too. I mean, there's like literally like over 100 something stories that people have long forgotten. Let's see, there's a total of, wow, 201 stories and 10 legends. So 211 altogether. That's quite a bit. And I can give you a few names and then I'm going to end this video. So I just want to give you some heads up of what I'm working on. And one of the titles, The Frog King or Iron Henry, goes two different names. Cat and Mouse in Partnership, Our Lady's Child, the story of the youth who went forth to learn what fear was, The Wolf and the Seven Little Kids. 7 is a very biblical number, by the way. Faithful John, The Good Bargain, The Wonderful Musician, The 12 Brothers, 12 disciples. So I thought I was going to be using this board in this video to give you an example of some stuff, but it doesn't look like I'm going to need it for this particular video. So thank you for hanging in there for the 10 minutes, and the next video will dive into one of the stories. So thank you for listening.